Okay, we're going to be graphing some variations on sine and cosine. On this first one, what we have is -2 sine of pi times x all divided by 2. Now, notice we don't have any numbers being added or subtracted on the inside here with x, and we don't have any numbers added or subtracted to the end. What that means is no horizontal shift or a phase shift, and no vertical shifts be based on something added or subtracted at the end. So the first thing I notice is we have this negative attached to the entire function. So what that's going to do to our graph is it's going to be a vertical reflection. All right, so basically the sine graph has been flipped upside down. So it's going to start at the origin as it normally does, but it's going to go down first, then up, and complete its first period back here at the x-axis. All right, so I'm just going to kind of sketch that in. Now we're going to be careful with our labels. So this -2, that also affects the amplitude. So the amplitude is defined to be the absolute value of that number out in front. So in this case, the absolute value of -2 is just going to be 2. What that tells us is this is going to go up to 2 and down all the way to -2. So I'll label my y-axis to indicate that. Next, let's think about the period. So the period is normally for sine 2 pi, but this has been affected by what's attached directly to x and on the inside here, so the pi over 2. So what we can do is take the period, the original period for sine 2 pi, and divide that by pi over 2 on the inside, and that's going to give us our new period. So I'm going to go ahead and say, well, that's the same thing as 2 pi multiplied by the reciprocal 2 over pi from our denominator. So what's going to happen here is the pi's get to cancel out, and we're going to get 4 for our new period for this function. So with that, what that means is it's going to take 4 units to complete its first period. So if we start at 0, because we didn't move left and right, we're going to end all the way over here at 4. We also may want to label a few more places here on the x-axis, like halfway in between, right here is going to be at 2. The bottommost value is going to be at an x value of 1, and then this highest value is going to be an x value of 3. Typically, we want to have all 5 of these labels going on for one period of sine. All right, so that's the first one. Let's try one with cosine also. So we want to sketch this graph of -0.8 cosine of 2x. Again, no horizontal shift, no phase shift, no vertical shift by numbers attached at the end. So we do again have a vertical reflection, being that this is a negative out in front. So our typical cosine graph starts at the top, comes down, and ends at the top. Because this has been flipped upside down, this is going to begin at the bottom. It's going to come up, and then back down, and it's going to end back here at the bottom for its first period. Okay, next up, this -0.8, that affects the amplitude. Again, it's the absolute value of -0.8, so that's just going to be 0.8. So that's going to give us labels for the highest value, 0.8, and the lowest value down here is -0.8. The last thing we want to label on this is the values on the x-axis where we have kind of key points. So remember, that's the period is computed to be the original period for cosine, which is normally 2 pi. But then we divide by that multiple on the inside here. So that's 2 on the inside. So the period in this case is going to be 2 pi over 2, which reduces down to be pi. So again, we'll label, we start at 0, we end at we end at pi. And let's go ahead and get these other labels in the middle. So halfway in between, where we have this highest value, is going to be pi over 2. Where we have this x-intercept, that's going to be half of this. So halfway in between 0 and pi over 2 is pi over 4. And then one last label to get here. This other x-intercept over this direction is going to be halfway between pi over 2, half of a pi, and a whole pi. So that's 3/4 of a pi, 3 pi over 4. And that's a pretty good graph of what's going on with negative 0.8 cosine of 2x. In the next video, we'll do some phase shifts, maybe a vertical shift to help out on understanding those as well. All right, good luck.